Okay, so I want to share something with you that is, well, it's pretty extraordinary. I want you to imagine a story, but it's not told by a person. It's told by a tiger. A tiger who claims he has a soul. And this story follows him all the way from the wild freedom of the jungle to the brutal confines of a circus, and then finally, to a path of spiritual enlightenment.
Just listen to this. These are the tiger's own words, our narrator, Raja. Right from the get-go, he's challenging us, you and me, to look past his claws and fangs and to really consider the mind that's inside. It's such a bold idea, isn't it? What if this creature we call a ferocious beast has a consciousness that's just as rich and complex as our own?
So where does this all come from? Well, this incredible journey is from the mind of Narayan, who's one of the giants of Indian literature in English. He was apparently inspired by a true story of a hermit who lived peacefully with a tiger. And he uses this fable to ask these really profound questions like, what does it actually mean to be civilized? And maybe even bigger, can any being, truly change its fundamental nature?
All right, so let's rewind. Let's go right back to where this whole thing started, to the untamed wilderness, where Raja wasn't a spectacle, he was a sovereign. This is where we meet him in his element, not as some performer, but as a king.
I mean, in his own words, he was the master of his domain. Life was all about instincts and power and just fulfilling his nature as the apex predator. Yeah, it was a life of brutal necessity for sure, but it was also one of exhilarating, completely untamed liberty.
You know, his early life was basically a trial by fire. He was left all alone as a cub, so he had to learn fast that survival meant being strong. He actually fought this fierce tigress who later became his mate, and together they raised a family. These early struggles are what forged him into this formidable creature, someone who was fiercely protective of his own. This was his entire world, the hunt, the fight, and the family.
And then everything changed. Humans, creatures he'd barely even seen before, invaded his world. They captured his mate, his cubs, and driven by this desperate need to find them, he leaves the safety of the jungle and walks right into the path of mankind. And this is the moment. His life is no longer his own.
So this is where the darkest chapter of Raja's life begins. It's this descent from majesty into just misery. The supreme lord of the jungle is about to become a slave. He gets caught, and he's handed over to this man they call the captain, the ringmaster. Now, the captain thinks he understands animals, but his understanding isn't about empathy. Oh no, it's about control. It's a brutal philosophy, and he inflicts it on Raja with this chilling precision. For Raja, the circus becomes a prison, not just for his body, but for his spirit too.
Now, what's so fascinating and horrifying about this is how it lays out this almost scientific approach to breaking a spirit. The captain doesn't just tame Raja, he completely deconstructs him. Think about it. Starvation, that creates dependency. The whip, that teaches fear. He's forced through fire, made to drink milk from a bowl like a house cat, and then, in what has to be the ultimate violation of his nature, he's forced to live with a goat. It's a step-by-step dismantling of everything that made him a tiger.
And this just illustrates the transformation so perfectly. Just look at the contrast here. The proud, free animal is gone, and in his place is this creature that's ruled by fear, performing totally unnatural tricks just to get food. He's been reshaped from a king into a clown. It's just a profound and absolutely devastating loss of self.
And this is Raja's stunning realization. This human who looks so small and has no claws or fangs has this strange power to control and manipulate creatures that are way stronger than he is. It's a humbling and, frankly, terrifying discovery. I mean, can you imagine what that must feel like? To realize that the apex predator isn't the strongest one, but the most cunning?
But here's the thing about instinct. It's a powerful, primal force. You can only suppress it for so long. And in one desperate, bloody moment, it just erupts. During a show, the captain gets distracted for a second, and Raja, driven by days of forced fasting, gives in to his nature and kills the goat. It is a shocking act of rebellion, and it marks the end of his circus career.
But this act of defiance, it doesn't lead to the freedom he craves, not even close. Instead, it propels him towards a destiny he could never, ever have imagined, and a completely different kind of transformation.
So the cruelty doesn't end with the circus. If anything, it gets even worse, all driven by the greed of men who don't see Raja as a living being, but as a product.
A filmmaker and the captain push him to do these impossible acts, even using an electric prod on him. And that final violation, that's too much. Raja attacks the captain, not to kill him, but to break free, and he escapes.
He just runs, blindly, right into the human world, and he finds shelter in the most unlikely place you could imagine, a school headmaster's office. Of course, this causes absolute chaos. The town is terrified. Hunters are called to put him down. It really seems like his story is about to end in tragedy.
And then, right in the middle of all this chaos and fear, this figure of profound peace emerges. An ascetic, a sannyasi, basically a man who wants nothing from the world and because of that has nothing to fear from it. This guy represents the complete opposite of the captain's world of greed and control.
This man, who Raja eventually calls his master, just calmly walks into the school, speaks to Raja, and leads him out without any force at all. His power isn't in a whip, it's in understanding. And his whole life's mission, to find out who he truly is, that becomes the lesson he ends up teaching the tiger.
With the master, Raja goes through one final, profound change. He learns, but not through fear this time. He learns through peace and communication. The master understands his thoughts, and Raja begins to grasp this deep spiritual truth, that a soul has no species. His violent instincts just fade away, and they're replaced by this deep sense of inner peace and connection.
So, what do we make of all this extraordinary tale? I mean, what can a tiger's journey, from predator to performer to peaceful companion, possibly teach us about our own lives?
Well, RK Narayan is using this story to explore some huge ideas. It's a powerful statement against human cruelty, against our assumption that we are the masters of the natural world, but it's more than that. This is a story that goes beyond species. It reminds us that the struggle between our base instincts and our higher selves, well, that's a universal one. It suggests that the journey from a violent, ego-driven life to one of peace and understanding is possible for any being, whether it walks on 2 legs or 4.
And that leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? Raja's entire story is a plea to look beyond the surface, of animals, of people, of ourselves. He's asking us to see the soul inside the forbidding exterior. So the question the novel leaves us with is, when we look at the world around us, are we willing to do the same? To see beyond the surface and find the soul within?